But long before I had the name John Wayne, I was going to school in Glendale, and I had a dog named Duke.
You've probably seen those headlines everywhere. At 86, John Wayne's son finally confesses what we all suspected. The thumbnail shows a dramatic black and white photo of the Duke himself, looking stern and mysterious. Your finger hovers over the play button because, let's face it, we all want to know the secrets behind Hollywood's biggest legends. But before you click, let me tell you the real story about John Wayne's sons and what they've actually shared about their famous father. Here's the truth that might surprise you. None of John Wayne's sons are actually 86 years old right now. The oldest living son, Patrick Wayne, was born in 1939, making him 85 as of 2024. But that doesn't mean there aren't fascinating stories to tell about what John Wayne's children have revealed over the years about growing up with America's most famous cowboy. John Wayne, whose real name was Marion Robert Morrison, wasn't just a movie star. He was a father to 7 children from 3 different marriages. And each of those children has their own story to tell about what it was really like to have the Duke as their dad. Some of these stories are heartwarming, others are surprising, and a few might even shock you. Let's start with Patrick Wayne, the second son, and the one who followed most closely in his father's footsteps. Patrick has been remarkably open about his relationship with his father over the years, and what he's shared paints a picture that's both touching and complex. Unlike those clickbait headlines suggest, Patrick hasn't been hiding some dark family secret. Instead, he's been honest about both the wonderful and challenging aspects of being John Wayne's son. Patrick has talked about how his father was actually quite different at home than the tough guy character he played on screen. The Duke was surprisingly gentle with his children, patient, and deeply involved in their lives despite his demanding career. But Patrick has also been honest about the pressure of growing up in his father's shadow. Imagine trying to find your own identity when your dad is literally an American icon. One of the most touching things Patrick has shared is how his father handled his fame around the family. John Wayne made sure his children understood that while the world might see him as this larger-than-life figure, at home he was just dad. He attended their school events when he could, helped with homework, and made sure they had as normal a childhood as possible given the circumstances. But Patrick has also revealed some of the more difficult aspects of their relationship. Growing up as John Wayne's son meant living with incredibly high expectations. The pressure to be tough, to be strong, to never show weakness. These weren't just movie roles for Duke, they were values he tried to instill in his children. Patrick has spoken about how this sometimes made it hard to express emotions or admit when he was struggling. Now let's talk about Michael Wayne, John Wayne's eldest son, who passed away in 2003. Michael took a different path than Patrick. Instead of acting, he became a successful film producer and actually produced many of his father's later movies. Before his death, Michael shared some incredible insights about working with his father professionally and what the Duke was really like behind the camera. Michael revealed that his father was incredibly disciplined and professional on set, but he also had a playful side that most people never saw. John Wayne was known for his practical jokes and his ability to keep cast and crew entertained during long shooting days. Michael also talked about how his father was always pushing for better scripts and more authentic portrayals in his films, especially his westerns. One of the most interesting things Michael shared was about his father's political views and how they affected the family. John Wayne was famously conservative and very vocal about his beliefs. Michael talked about how this sometimes created tension in the family, especially during the turbulent 1960s and 70s when the country was divided on issues like the Vietnam War and civil rights. Then there's Ethan Wayne, the youngest son, born when John Wayne was already in his 50s. Ethan's relationship with his father was unique because the Duke knew he might not live to see his youngest son grow up. John Wayne was already battling health issues, and he was very aware that his time might be limited. Ethan has shared some incredibly moving stories about those later years. His father became more philosophical, more focused on passing on life lessons and values. Ethan has talked about long conversations they had where John Wayne shared his regrets, his hopes for his children, and his thoughts about life and death. One of the most powerful things Ethan has revealed is how his father prepared him for life without him. John Wayne made sure Ethan understood the importance of integrity, hard work, and standing up for what you believe in. But he also wanted Ethan to be his own person, not just a copy of his famous father. Ethan has also been open about the financial side of things. Contrary to what many people might think, being John Wayne's son didn't automatically make his children wealthy. The Duke believed in making his children work for what they had. He provided for them, but he also made sure they understood the value of hard work and self-reliance. Now, what about the daughters? John Wayne had 4 daughters, and they've shared their own perspectives on their famous father. His daughter Isa has written about how protective John Wayne was of his girls, but also how he encouraged them to be strong and independent. She's revealed that despite his tough guy image, her father was actually quite progressive when it came to women's capabilities and rights. Isa has also shared some touching stories about her father's softer side. She's talked about how he would read to his children, how he loved music and would sing around the house, and how he was deeply emotional despite his stoic public image. These revelations show a side of John Wayne that his fans rarely got to see. The Wayne children have also been candid about their father's flaws. John Wayne was married 3 times, and his children from his first marriage have spoken about how his career and his personal struggles affected their family life. They've been honest about feeling sometimes neglected or overshadowed by his career demands. But perhaps the most significant thing the Wayne children have revealed is how their father's legacy has affected their own lives. Living up to the name Wayne has been both a blessing and a burden. They had opportunities they might not have had otherwise, but they've also faced constant comparison to their legendary father. Patrick Wayne has been particularly eloquent about this struggle. He's talked about how he initially tried to avoid acting because he didn't want to be seen as just riding on his father's coattails. But eventually, he realized that running away from his heritage wasn't the answer. Instead, he learned to embrace it while still carving out his own identity. The Wayne children have also revealed their father's thoughts on Hollywood and the movie industry. John Wayne was increasingly critical of the direction Hollywood was taking in his later years. He felt that movies were losing their moral center and becoming too focused on violence and cynicism. His children have shared how he worried about the impact this might have on American values and culture. But John Wayne wasn't just complaining about change. He was actively trying to influence it through his production company and his choice of roles. He tried to make movies that reflected his values of honor, courage, and integrity. His children have revealed how passionate he was about this mission and how it drove many of his later career decisions. One of the most surprising things the Wayne children have shared is about their father's relationships with other Hollywood stars. Despite his tough guy image, John Wayne was reportedly very supportive of other actors and generous with advice and encouragement. His children have shared stories about how their father mentored younger actors and how he maintained lifelong friendships with his co-stars. The Wayne family has also been open about their father's health struggles in his final years. John Wayne battled cancer, and his children have shared how this experience changed their father and brought the family closer together. They've talked about his courage in facing his illness and how he used his platform to raise awareness about cancer research. In recent years, the Wayne children have had to deal with efforts to reassess their father's legacy in light of changing social attitudes. Some of John Wayne's past comments and political views have been criticized by modern standards. His children have navigated this carefully, acknowledging that their father was a product of his time, while also defending the positive aspects of his legacy. They've been particularly active in promoting the John Wayne Cancer Foundation and other charitable causes that reflect their father's values. This has been their way of ensuring that their father's legacy is about more than just movies. It's about making a positive impact on the world. So what's the real confession from John Wayne's sons? It's not some dark family secret or scandalous revelation. It's the honest, complex, and deeply human story of what it was like to be the children of one of America's most iconic figures. They've shared the good and the bad, the triumphs and the struggles, the love and the challenges. The Wayne children have revealed that their father was neither the perfect hero his fans might imagine, nor the flawed figure his critics might suggest. He was a complex man who loved his children deeply but wasn't always perfect in showing it. He was someone who struggled with the pressures of fame while trying to maintain his integrity and values. Perhaps the most important thing the Wayne children have revealed is that their father's greatest legacy isn't his movies or his fame. It's the values he tried to instill in them. Values like hard work, integrity, courage, and loyalty. These aren't just Hollywood virtues. They're human virtues that transcend any particular era or culture. The real story of John Wayne's Sons isn't about shocking confessions or hidden secrets. It's about a family trying to honor their father's memory while also being honest about who he really was. It's about children who loved their father deeply but weren't blind to his flaws. And it's about the ongoing challenge of living up to a legendary name while still being true to yourself. In a world full of clickbait headlines and manufactured drama, the Wayne family's honest and thoughtful approach to sharing their father's story is refreshing. They've shown that the truth is often more interesting and more meaningful than any sensational revelation could ever be. As we continue to grapple with how to understand and appreciate figures from the past, the Wayne children's example shows us a way forward. We can acknowledge complexity without losing respect. We can be honest about flaws without losing appreciation for virtues. And we can honor a legacy while still growing beyond it. The next time you see one of those dramatic headlines about John Wayne's family revelations, remember that the real story is often more nuanced and more human than any clickbait could capture. The Wayne children haven't been hiding secrets. They've been sharing truths. And those truths, complicated as they may be, paint a picture of a man who was both larger than life and deeply human. That's the real confession from John Wayne's sons. Not that their father was perfect or terrible, but that he was real. He was a man who tried his best, made mistakes, learned from them, and ultimately left behind a legacy that his children can be proud of while still being honest about its complexities. In the end, isn't that what we all hope for? Not to be remembered as perfect, but to be remembered as someone who tried to do right, who loved their family, and who left the world a little better than they found it. By that measure, and according to his children's honest assessments, John Wayne succeeded in ways that go far beyond his Hollywood fame. If you found this deep dive into the real story behind those dramatic headlines helpful, make sure to hit that like button and share this video with anyone who might be curious about the truth behind the clickbait. And don't forget to subscribe for more honest looks at the stories behind the stories. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video where we separate fact from fiction in the world of celebrity legends.